welcome to Grip today, Chad.
Hey, thanks, Elias. Appreciate you having me.
Great for you to be here. Let's talk about how we first met.
You know, it's interesting. I thought about that. We've had multiple interactions together over the last few years. I still remember the first conversation that we had. It was, you were a referral from another client, and you just had a real estate opportunity that was brought to you, but you just didn't quite know what to do with it. And my sense of it was that just you wanted to make sure you had a independent set of eyes that were looking at it, just to make sure that everything that you were feeling, you had a red flag, and we kind of worked through some of those processes. And in the end, did determine that there was a little bit of more opportunity out there for you in that investment opportunity.
Yeah, I was really happy that you came because you gave me an unbiased perspective. And the real estate game that you're in is very complicated. And when you have complex issues, you need people that are living and breathing that kind of stuff to examine it, because that's not my core competency. My core competency is importing. Everybody has a core competency, and you got to stick to what you know and stay in your lane.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, even on the real estate side, the brokerage side, I still have professionals that I lean on that know that side of the business. But when it comes to developing and construction and construction management, obviously that's my forte. That's where my experience lies.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I mean, we haven't even done a project yet together, but I know that just on a human level, it's been a great interaction. It's been a good friendship, and
yeah, we built a relationship without even doing any business together.
I know.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
It's. I think truly that's how business really does work, is building that foundation of trust and just friendship. Honestly, I value your opinion as a businessman from what you've done here, what you've continued to grow, and yeah.
I value you as well, and you're right. Trust is the glue that holds everything together. Without trust, there is no relationship. There is nothing can exist without trust. It's the foundational, no pun intended, part of everything.
Yeah, agreed.
So throughout the years, you've been in a lot of different situations when it comes to business. Are you focusing mostly on residential now or mostly commercial?
No, commercial is 99.9% of what Clear Construction does.
Yes.
I do have one very trusted subcontractor that I'm going to build their house for, but that's a kind of a one-off.
Okay.
Just because I've had a 15-year relationship with them and just want to
Back to the relationship thing
Yes.
again. See how it always comes full circle, doesn't it?
It does, and I just always want to make sure that this particular individual is very much taken care of. It's their dream home, and I want to make sure it goes exceptionally well for them.
That's amazing. That's, you really shows that you care, and caring is very important. A lot of people, they just don't care anymore, and it's always about the money. And I guess when it's always about the money, that's when things start getting complicated. And when I say complicated, I mean, if you only chase money, money will run really fast and you'll never catch it. But when you do the right things, the money will come. Money starts chasing you when you do the right things.
It does. When I started my company, when I started Clear Construction, it was with the goal of so much of my industry and business in general. I think there's a lot of people that can look at customer service, where that is today compared to where it was 10, 15 years ago, and see a significant change. That's at least my opinion on seeing things. And my entire goal has been client first, client focused. It's not about my growth, it's about my client's growth. That authenticity will come through. My growth will come at the success of my clients, not my success at the expense of my clients.
I absolutely agree, and I love that. And I'd say that the goal of probably over 90% of businesses is to make money or maximize profits. I don't like that goal at all. My goal is to create customers for life. If you create the customers for life, then eventually the money will come. When you do the right things, as we just alluded to, and take care of that customer with that good customer service and make their dreams come true, then by definition, your dreams will come true as well.
I agree completely. But it has to be authentic. It can't just be a punchline.
No.
it's got to have the integrity that backs that up. If you make a mistake, because everybody makes a mistake in business. Nobody is perfect.
Yes.
I've made mistakes in my career.
Yes.
And you know what? The biggest thing is that you own them and you fix them. That's what true customer service is.
I love it, and I fully agree. Accountability. It's everything.
100%. Yep.
So what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes you've made in your business career? You just mentioned you've made mistakes. That's a great segue for what we're going to talk about. What would you say was one of your greatest mistakes, and what did you learn from it the most?
Well, I would say that the biggest mistake I made was actually on an estimate. And again, this is where we talk about that accountability. There was a portion of the work that I had not accounted for in an estimate. Well, I had gone to the client. I had told them that I had missed that. They had funds for X amount of dollars for a specific project. That was not their responsibility. That was my responsibility. And it was an expensive responsibility that I learned. And as a younger, career-driven individual, I had to learn that the hard way. I ended up paying for that.
Wow.
But again, it was not the client's fault. It's my fault. And they even came back to me in the end saying, you didn't have to do that. And it's, no, I did, because that's my role. That's what you pay me for. Yes. And taking on that risk, that's why there's overhead and profit. Whenever I have a conversation with clients on, the cost of a project and run through, the difference between the cost of the work and the cost of my services, and then we get to the overhead and profit section. Well, that number represents my risk. That is my risk to do this project for a set amount of money. And so when you explain that to somebody and then say, this is why I'm charging this amount, and then you can go on the back end and explain, see, I've made errors before too. And it pulls from that account and I don't make that money anymore. It's just, it's a general business discussion, but it creates that transparency and it lets them know about that accountability.
Yeah. But that mistake wasn't really a mistake because you learned from it. A mistake's only a mistake if you don't learn from it.
Yes, correct.
So from now on, you don't make those mistakes anymore. Even though it cost you in the beginning, it was well worth it to learn that, so you didn't ever repeat it.
It's funny. I have a mentor of mine gave me a line to remember. He said, "Good lessons are expensive, and the best lessons are very expensive."
That's a fact. Yeah, that reminds me of the other line of smart people learn from their own mistakes. Really smart people learn from others' mistakes.
Makes sense.
Yes. And, in this economy, the way it is, it's starting to contract and things are tightening up. What are you doing? What are some of the things that you're doing to help service your customers better from not a financial perspective, but to make them feel more valued?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing for customers right now, construction costs over the last 5 to 7 years since COVID have escalated every year.
Yes.
We have yet to see really a de-escalation of those. We have seen some plateauing, which is good, but everybody seems to think that, if we wait another year, it's going to be less expensive. Unfortunately, the last 7 years, we have not seen that at all. Construction is just expensive right now, just like everything else. Inflation has caused some of these items. The amount of work out there is no lack of construction work. So our trade partners also have full schedules, which again, there is a lot of opportunity to go around. Therefore, it typically has not been kind of a buyer's market, so to speak, when it comes to construction. My role is just to make sure that when we do receive pricing, that it goes with the historical data. So I'll go back and I'll take an estimate and I'll refer it back or review it to a previous project, really understanding if the dollars per square foot comparing the same scope of work is appropriate. So then what I do is I sit down with the client. Let's just say it was you were building a new building. Let's say, Elias, I've got 3 painters here. I just did a building almost this exact same size. One is 50,000, one's 55,000, one is 15,000. Well, it's your money, it's not my money. So, Mr. Owner, do you want to take a risk on this $15,000 number? I've never worked with a subcontractor before. I've worked with these other two that are at 50 and 55,000. They're 5,000 apart. They're within 10% of each other. There's an opportunity here to save $30,000, but I've never worked with them. This seems artificially low. What risk are you willing to take? So then we have that type of business discussion. It's what allows you to be educated to make a decision for yourself. It shouldn't be me making that decision. So that's the value I try to really bring clients, is to educate them on the process, put them in a position where they can make decisions for their money. The easiest thing for me to do would be to just hire the contractor that I know, that I've worked with, that costs more money because it makes my life easier.
Yes.
That's not bringing value to you as the client.
But I think the most important thing you're talking about is transparency. Having that transparency and having that open and honest dialogue. Oftentimes people are afraid to have that open and honest dialogue because money complicates things. It clouds people's judgment.
Absolutely.
When you have those conversations, oftentimes do people talk to you and say, hey, I really appreciate that, or do they just expect that?
No, most of the time I never expected to get this level of detail. And again, it creates that trust right from the get-go. When you separate out what the cost of the work is versus the cost of my services, yes, it's always say, we can have a conversation about whether you feel what I'm charging for my services from a business standpoint is appropriate. But what can't be argued with is the cost of the work, which is based on the decisions that you made based on the design that you wanted.
Yes.
When you break it out that way, all clients have looked at it and said, oh, well, that makes perfect sense. I have yet to have somebody say, when I've broken it down that way, well, you shouldn't charge that much. That's too much. Right. I honestly haven't. And yes, it just makes it a very simple conversation to have.
I really like that. I really, really like that. So what's the next step for you, Chad? I know you're growing your business. What's the future hold for you?
You know, every business goes through scale. And that's the hardest opportunity. I'm going to call it an opportunity because it has been a blessing to work through scaling options and to take those steps. And it's been an exciting time this last 2 years. But as we continue to grow, our growth goals are simple. We don't want to be the largest construction manager in West Michigan. We want a 6 to 8 person team that does high quality work with great repeat clients, to continue to provide that quality product that they would expect.
I love that. And that goes to where I'm going next, which would be the culture. The culture of a company is the health of a company. Culture isn't something that's on a billboard or something that people talk about. It's really, how do people feel on a Sunday night at 8:00 because they know they get to go to work or they have to go to work. There's a difference between getting to go to work and having to go to work.
100%.
And if you can build that team, that small, nice, quality team, and have that culture, you will be able to wow your customers and give them the service that they deserve. At the end of the day, you're in the service industry. We're all in the service industry. And how we can separate ourselves is through service, quality, and responsivity. So your team that you're talking about, how do you find those kind of quality people that align with your values?
Well, it takes time. It's not just as simple as putting a job posting out there. I can speak from a lot of experience on this. I think I've interviewed probably over 30 people, and out of those 30, I think I had 3 that I really felt met my values. I'm blessed to have a team that really shares my values, and that was my number one priority when I went into business. Is Clear Construction is based on the values and the ethics that I have. I have to be the lead on that, but I have to make sure that everybody that's on my team and that works with me and is a part of this company has those same values. And that's not the easiest process because we all have different opinions.
Yes.
My experience has been showing utmost respect for them, for their opinions, their goals. One of the big things I like to preach is, what are your personal goals? Everybody has professional goals, but that's what you do 40 hours a week. What do you want to do as a family? What can I do to help you get to those personal goals that you have? And when you really start to focus and have those conversations with team members and everybody else that you work with on a day-to-day basis, again, it becomes more of a small family unit, a secondary family unit, as opposed to what can we do to generate revenue to make this business as big as it can be to make the most amount of money. That's not what I want. That's not what I want my children to look at life. It's all about relationships.
I love it. Everything ends and begins with relationships. Relationship capital is the most valuable capital in the world.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what do you think is the greatest opportunity for you in West Michigan?
From the amphitheater to everything else that's happened downtown. Downtown itself is its own entity and market. But I'm also starting to see a big push to the south because that market is filling up, and just south and east of that, the airport district, that is all filling up. So
Yes.
there was nowhere to go but south. Certainly there is pushing towards the Lowell area, a little bit to the north, but the most growth I'm seeing is that connectivity between Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo.
I agree with you. I think in the next 10 years, it'll be one giant city, Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids. They're going to call it the Kalamazoo Grand Rapids area, and it'll all be developed. Right now, there's a lot of empty space. The casino definitely helped fill that void, and that'll be an anchor, and it'll produce some major retailers, maybe Meijer, maybe some other big truck stops. A lot of other things will be on that corridor for sure.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that discussion, a lot of early discussion now on bigger opportunities down there. I'm working with a group right now that's trying to bring something that's very community driven to our area being south of Grand Rapids that isn't currently there. But the problem is, like we talked before, construction costs, a lot of things are so expensive that the numbers don't work. So working through state incentives, local tax incentives, things like that, to try to make sure that these things can even pencil from that aspect.
Well, yeah, it's hard because everything is so expensive, and people want to keep building and keep doing things, but finding quality, labor, finding those trades that you've talked about, that's harder and harder to get because they're already busy working on other things. People are already a year out or 2 years out. How do you find, I know you said you interviewed 30 people, and I get that. Is it one of those situations where the market for labor is something that you have to poach from another company?
There is a lot of that. There are opportunities to do that. I personally don't want to do that because I want it to be, again, it all goes back
organic.
To the authentic. I want it to be organic. I'm a firm believer that if you try to push things, which we've had in different relationships, if you try to push things as opposed to let things happen organically, it typically has not been a good outcome. It's not to say that you don't be aggressive towards things.
Yes.
But that's just not been my experience.
I agree. When you let the solution present itself, it'll happen organically. But when you try to push a square into a circle, bad things always happen.
Yes.
It always does. So you're in the embryonic stages of your company right now. You're in the very, very beginning. You're basically just born or just about there. And I know this will be kind of a hard question, but I'll ask you anyways. What would you like your company to be remembered for after you retire and after you pass? What would be one or two things that you want to be remembered for?
I think to me that becomes pretty simple. It goes back to the authenticity, is that I did what I said I was going to do. I delivered the product I promised you that I would. Mm-hmm. And I did it all in a respectful manner that's something that I can be proud of with my children, something I can be proud of with my faith, that all of those things were shown through in my product. That's really my ultimate goal.
That people remember that you were transparent, that you were clear, like your company says, clear, and that you did the right thing when no one was looking.
Yep.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, that is integrity. People talk about it, but what are you doing when no one else is looking? That's what you have to ask yourself, because it's easy to do the right thing when everybody's watching, but when you're by yourself, what's really going on? Wins in the public are a result of doing the right things in private.
Yes.
And when you do things the right way privately and you spend time doing the right things privately, you'll win in the public.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I guess I don't have a lot more. We can wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to talk about today, or?
Well, what about you? What are some exciting things that you're working on?
Well, it's a very turbulent time right now with the tariffs and all, but these are opportunities. Again, there's a lot of turbulence, but we take these as opportunities. As you said, instead of challenges, these are opportunities to grow, and we're evolving, we're adapting, we're changing. And in this kind of market, speed is everything. You have to be able to be nimble. You can't be a cruise ship that takes forever to turn around. You have to be a jet ski, and you have to make decisions on the fly, and you have to build the plane while you're flying it. So yeah, it's a little tight right now, but it's going to change, and it's going to get better. We just got to keep working hard, and when we do the right things as we talked about, good things will happen.
Yeah. No, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I know from my years of us having conversations and coffee, it's all about doing the right thing.
It is.
And I wholeheartedly respect that, and that's one of the reasons why I valued your opinion so much.
I appreciate that, but you do have to stay the course. It's hard sometimes to stay the course, but if you just trust the process, stay the course, keep your faith, as you just alluded to, I think good things always happen. It's when you deviate and you go way off course. You try to do something that's not in your wheelhouse. People do that, they try to go off script and go way out. Do what you know, do it better than everybody else, and just be so good that they can't ignore you.
Yeah.
That's how you have to do it.
No, I think that's a great plan.
Thank you. I think we'll wrap it up here. Appreciate your time today, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invite.
We'll look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, sounds good.